In a previous life, before being a teacher here in Taiwan, I used to be a professional driver in Paris, France. I drove executive sedans, limos, and minivans when I was studying for my English degree, and then I created my own company. I had 3 vehicles in my fleet at some point. And then I got married to my Taiwanese wife, who then wanted to return to Taiwan, so I was given the choice to keep everything and divorce, or give it all up and follow her. And that's what I did, but the truth is, I miss my old life. It was fun, exciting, and I've always hoped that there would be a game out there that would just let me get my old vibes again. And so here came Taxi Life, a city driving simulator that happens to promise to give me just that. But how well does it do it? Well, that's what we are going to judge today by taking a look at our usual array of criteria and then give it a score of 100. We'll start with gameplay here, and Taxi Life has more to offer than what it seems. Sure, you've got your regular pickups and drop-offs that you have to execute as well as possible, otherwise your clients lose patience and just leave, but that's not just that. You can also go full crazy taxi mode by taking challenges that ask you to arrive to your destination as fast as possible, or do the opposite and be asked to drive as smoothly as possible and losing your client at the first mistake. The game also has a business management side that lets you build your own taxi empire by buying new cars, managing them, and even hire drivers who are all unique with various pros and cons. Speaking of cars, they too come with their advantages and inconveniences. A small hatchback will be great to sneak around the challenging narrow streets of Barcelona, but will provide with limited business opportunities. An electric minivan will take more passengers but will be difficult to drive due to its size and weight, which you will feel at higher speeds, while an executive sedan will look like you are a VIP driver but will cost a fortune to maintain. The game also features exploration and character development. The more you play, the more experience points you get and the more perks you unlock. These can vary between longer trips to more fuel efficiency or even free passes if you are caught breaking the traffic rules. You will also gain experience points by discovering the many landmarks of the city, which are superbly reproduced and are a great way to remember your way around the city without always looking at your GPS. And after 20 hours of gameplay, I can already navigate the main areas of the city without any guidance, which is super helpful if there's a lot of traffic or maybe you have to do a detour because of some major road works. Last but not least, you will also get experience points by making your clients happy, either by having conversations with them or just satisfying their needs like opening the window or turning on the radio. Sadly, you can't just randomly pick up passengers as there is no taximeter, so I'll give gameplay here an 18 out of 20. Next, we'll talk about the story, and sadly here there is none. Sure, there are those little conversations between you and your clients, but that's all. Taxi Life therefore gets a 1 out of 10. I also wish that there was a small campaign, maybe lasting for 3 to 4 hours, where you would work as an employee before you start your own business, but sadly the game does not offer any of that. Next, we'll talk about level design, and Taxi Life lets you drive in a 1-to-1 scale representation of Barcelona, Catalonia, and while at first glance the map does seem small, it's only a fraction of the actual city after all. The 1-to-1 scale makes it so much larger than what we are normally used to in a video game, and in the end is enough to feel very overwhelming and immersive. More on that later. I love how the streets and roads have been faithfully recreated, including the sunken highway near the coast. Of course, one might wonder why the map does not include some of the city's most iconic locations such as Camp Nou or also Sagrada Familia, but all of it takes is a quick look at the map to realize that the devs would have had literally to double the map that they've already created. Who knows, maybe we'll get to enjoy those locations in the future DLC. In the meantime, the level design gets an 8 out of 10. Next, we are moving on to immersion, and Taxi Life is a very, very immersive game, and this is coming from a professional. I can testify that I really feel like I'm reliving my old days when I am behind the wheel. Unfortunately, I'd say it's still missing a couple of elements to take the immersion to the next level, like road signs that give directions. The operation costs also don't seem very realistic. I would have rather seen some cheaper fuel, but more in line with real life prices, and more expensive maintenance fees, which would encourage us to drive more carefully, and so immersion gear gets a 9 out of 10. Sound in Taxi Life is a mixed bag. The sounds of accidents or the air as you pick up speed is excellent, but some sounds are terrible, like the sounds your car makes when it starts and brakes. Take a listen. Voice acting could also have been more convincing. I also wish that there could have been more variety in the radio, and so it gets a 4 out of 10. Let's talk about the graphics, and quite frankly, they are phenomenal, and the representation of the city of Barcelona is larger than life. I am baffled to see that my settings on my PC are only at the medium settings, meaning that if I had a better PC, the game would actually even look better. Sadly, the game's pedestrians look terrible and some roads look unfinished, like the sunken highway, which lacks some details and road markings. So this unfortunately lowers the score to an 8 out of 10. Next, we'll talk about the game's technical relevancy. It uses the Unreal Engine 5 and an in-house traffic management system that I found very realistic, even though it still needs some fine-tuning. Pedestrians, however, are hilariously bad and actually need some work. It's also a shame that the game lacks features such as dynamic weather, and so it gets an 8 out of 10. Next, we are going to talk about whether or not the game is worth your money. Nacon, the publisher, sells the game for €30, and to me it's a little pricey for such a niche game that still feels quite bare-boned despite its huge potential. If I had been Nacon, I would have sold it for €20 and then made additional money with additional DLCs over the next couple of years. But no, instead the French publisher chose to sell it at this price, which is understandably making quite a few gamers angry. By the way, let me know in the comment section down below what you think of the price of Taxi Life. Personally, I don't find it unreasonable, but I also fail to understand how Nacon will build a solid fan base with it though, and so it gets a 6 out of 10. Finally, we are going to talk about the potential of the game, and I think that here the potential is huge. There's just so much that SimTeract and Nacon can do with this game, from map extensions to additional gameplay to new cars. This game can last for years and years and years if they give it the same treatment that, say, for example, is getting Euro Truck Simulator. Maybe there will just be another game, a Taxi Life 2, with some of the improvements that the community are waiting for. I guess that we're just going to wait and see. I just hope also that they are going to be giving the modding community the tools so that they can also bring in the own modification that they wished. Anyway, overall, I think that potential for Taxi Life, as I said, is huge, and that is why it gets a 10 out of 10. And so here comes our final score for Taxi Life, which gets a 73 out of 100. It's not a perfect game, but with a lot of potential. However, as far as I'm concerned, I am having a huge amount of fun with it. I am quite addicted to it. As you could see in my live streams, I play it almost every day. And there's just so much good vibes here that this game provides if you are into driving and if you are into the taxi profession. That is all for this video, guys. Let me know in the comment section down below. Have you tried Taxi Life, or is this a game that you would like to try as well? I would like to know your thoughts. And thank you all so much for watching, guys, and I will see you guys in the next one. Cheers.